protect them.
All right, let's welcome in Ben Oddie to kick off the week. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning. How you guys doing today?
We're doing wonderful. How about yourself?
I'm feeling pretty good. Vibes are high on this Monday morning.
Absolutely.
In what area?
I feel like every area. I'm feeling really good. I really enjoyed watching that volleyball win yesterday.
Yeah.
I was more excited to watch volleyball than I was the NFL, which as a football guy like myself, I'll just be real, doesn't happen a ton, but I was right. Like I woke up yesterday just pumped for some volleyball.
Heck yeah.
That's something you don't hear every day.
No.
I woke up pumped for some volleyball.
We are in a bit of a lull though in the NFL. Like we're getting not a lull, but we're next week will be the playoffs weeks. Here's the list of things that you need to do in order to get in. Here's a list of things you can't do to get out. This is the last week before that really picks up. So Ben, I give you a ton of credit. It's a volleyball skate.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm with you there.
All right, let's discuss a little football thing here. So coming up at the Pop-Tarts Bowl is Iowa State and Miami. They unveiled their brand new trophy yesterday that has a built-in toaster at the top of the trophy. Is that the best bowl trophy, or is that the greatest bowl trophy that has ever been unveiled?
I definitely think it is the greatest. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. I can't lie to you. I love it.
I think that it should. I would rather go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl right now than the Pinstripe Bowl. Just to win a trophy that it is a legit toaster on the trophy.
Looks great.
Yeah, I agree with you. That thing is pretty sick.
It's a football toaster.
Now, granted, Pop-Tarts just out of the box taste better than Pop-Tarts toasted.
All right, you're crazy.
All right, no, I'm kind of with you on this, Gary. I can't lie. I'm kind of with you on this.
Wow.
Just nice out of the box. You don't have to throw it in the toaster. You don't have to warm up the filling.
What a bad take of radio. Jeez, guys.
Hey, I'm the opposite because I like my Uncrustables microwaved, not just thrown in the fridge.
What is wrong with you?
Oh, I like my peanut butter
hot?
Warm. I like my fruit just normal.
All right, Gary, you're 1 for 2.
There you go. Thank you, Ben.
Wait a minute.
Thank you.
Okay, so now I have to explain this because I think
you just like things warm. You like your house at 87 degrees.
Yeah.
You're just a warm human.
I actually meant to mention this. I was trying to think of creative ways to mention this. What is going on with that, Gary?
Oh, it was great. I woke up Saturday morning and it reached 83 in my hotel room in Waterloo. It was perfect. And I was upset because we stayed in Ames Saturday night and it would only go up to 78. And it took a while to get to 78. I was very disappointed. I almost thought I would have to check into a different hotel.
Do you have a deodorant sponsor? Like, what do you?
I don't sweat. I don't sweat. I just like to be warm.
Do you not have pores?
I have pores.
Ben, how are we feeling about the Winery pickup? I mean, we haven't talked to you. We haven't talked to you since that happened. They go out to get the number 1 D end of last year's class after a lot of worry, a lot of panic about where this D line is heading. What was your reaction, and how confident now are you feeling about this D line?
I do feel really good about that. That's a huge pickup for us because I think that was a big thing. Is when we saw some of these, really good guys enter the portal. My worry wasn't necessarily that we couldn't go get guys. It was the quality of the guys we could bring in, if that makes sense. And that was my worry, is I feel like a lot of the guys we were losing weren't necessarily, they weren't like just, addition by subtraction. It's like, no, we're missing some pieces here. We need to go get some pieces to fill it in. And I feel like that was a perfect addition in terms of just like, hey, what is out there that you can bring in from the portal? I felt like that was big. That does give me some good confidence in this defensive line for going into next year. I'll be interested to see, what else we can pick up throughout these, next few weeks. But yeah, I thought that was really huge just for the up front, just because we are missing some guys from up there, and just having an absolute dude up there, I feel like could be a real big game changer just because we're going to be missing some dudes, that are leaving, through the D line, whether it's graduation or from the portal. So that could be, to me, that's a huge addition, and I love it.
So you live in the Kansas City area. Have you seen him play in person, or
I have not seen him play. I have not seen him play in person. But I mean, I'm just hearing about him. He's an absolute stud.
Why do you think? And maybe it's just the physicality and adjusting to playing on the defensive line in the SEC. Why do you think he didn't pop at Mizzou? Because he was supposed to be a saver for Eli Drinkwitz.
Right. That's a good question. I think maybe it is just some of that adjustment coming from the high school level coming into, the SEC defensive level. I think that probably just plays a big factor in it. I think if he would have been at Mizzou again, for next year, I think he would have been a stud for them. But hey, not their problem now. He's going to be our stud now. So I'm not too worried about that. But that is kind of an interesting question. But I do think it probably just had to do with that adjustment going from high school into college, and dropping into the SEC isn't going to be an easy task.
Gary and I earlier were talking about the expectations that we have for Dylan Raiola next season and what we think that he should be accomplishing and the level that he should be playing at. I want to get your perspective on it. Where do you think Dylan needs to be at? What level do you expect him to jump to next season?
We definitely need a step up from him, and I felt like, and I've been guilty of it as well, of just kind of this last season of almost expecting it more at times, especially just because of how well he started off. Like when you think about, like, he had the best true freshman quarterback season for sure in the Big Ten, and you can make a good argument he was the best true freshman quarterback in the country. And there were times where we were like, oh man, we just need a little bit more from him. So, and I'm guilty of that as well. You know what I mean? Of just kind of wanting a little bit more. But I do think going into next season, especially having Dana Holgorsen, like Dana Holgorsen is going to make it as easy as he can on Dylan to be able to go out there and make plays. His reads are going to be, simple, by Division I standards, just the air raid concepts of getting guys open. So I do think that we are going to need a big step up from him. And I think if Dana Holgorsen was not the offensive coordinator going into next year, my expectations wouldn't necessarily be as high. But I do feel like that is a really big piece of the equation, is having a guy like Dana Holgorsen in there.
They can bring the best out of him.
Make a huge difference.
Yeah. So what's more important to him? An OC that designs and does the things along lines of what you were saying, or a quarterback guru that helps with the just simple part of playing quarterback from the feet to the head?
For me, I think it's the offensive coordinator that can go out there and scheme his way and get guys open. And because for me, just my watching of Dylan Raiola is through those last, 3 games, particularly like the Wisconsin game for sure. And we even saw some in the Iowa game of some of the things we have, seen about him, about the footwork that needs some work, or his eyes not being the greatest, did improve under Dana Holgorsen, even in that short time. So I do think having a guy like Dana Holgorsen, I think when the scheme and getting guys open, I just think that helps him overall, and that helps his eyes and helps his feet. So for me, that's the most important thing.
Is there anything Marcus Satterfield did well this past year?
No.
No.
I want to be fair and ask the question.
I can't think of one.
So Ben, you said on Twitter after John Butler got hired that he was probably your 5th or 6th choice. Now that he has had a press conference, he's talked to the media, there have been some more anecdotes on the type of coach he is and how the players respond to him. After now it's been a couple of days since they've made it official, where are you at on the hiring of John Butler as Nebraska's offensive coordinator?
I think maybe I was a little bit more negative than maybe I should have been, but I mean, I'm it's fine. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to come on there and act like I'm, going to be smarter or know more about what's going on than Matt Rhule. It just wouldn't have been my first choice. But I mean, hey, if he believes in him, the players believe in him. Hey, who am I to, sit there and say it's not going to work? I definitely hope it works. Like, I'm not ever going to come on here and hope for that. I hope it's a slam dunk. It's just, it wouldn't have been my first choice, I guess. And so I feel fine on it. I don't hate it, but I'm also not going to lie and say that, like, I'm not going to do a 180 and say I'm completely 100% for it. No questions asked. It's fine, I guess.
What do you think if you were a promising upcoming, defensive coordinator that looked at Nebraska and was like, man, I'd like to go there and work there. That's a place where I could do work, but I can't run the system that I'm most comfortable with. You would just then move on to the next job? I mean, how much of a factor do you think in the stability and familiarity of promoting John Butler compared to somebody coming in with a brand new system that would be different from what Matt Rhule had said 2 weeks prior about what he likes about what the defense currently does.
No, and I think that was the biggest thing was with John Butler is that the system was going to stay exactly the same. I think that did play a factor because, again, a lot of these guys that would want, I think, to use Nebraska as, the defensive coordinator spot. If you're a good enough defensive coordinator to come in and get a lot of money from Nebraska, are you a guy that doesn't want to run your own scheme, if that makes sense? Like, if you're good enough for that, you're going to be good enough to want to go a place to run your stuff. And I'm not saying that's good or bad on Nebraska's part right now because I want to see it in action next year or whatever. But, I do think that definitely played a factor, and I do think that played a factor as to why John Butler got the bump up. I'll be interested to see with more, I guess, continuity from the defensive coordinator and, a secondaries coach and all that if the coverage gets better. Because obviously this year I just felt like our switch to, just more cover 2, Tampa 2, and match quarters. I just feel like I just felt like that wasn't the greatest tactical decision throughout this last year, but maybe not having a DC who's mostly a cover 1 and cover 3 guy like Tony White was, maybe that played some sort of factor in there. So we'll see. Maybe having a more, I guess, cohesive vision might benefit the team more than I think.
Hey, when do you think they made that decision to change up the defense from 23 to 24? Prior to July 1 or post July 1?
That is, I think, I don't know, maybe a month ago, whenever, I think I said that to you and Nick at one point, is I think that's a very good question on when that decision got made. I don't know. I really wish I could get an answer on that because I have a hard time believing it was before John Butler was hired. I don't know. Maybe I could be completely off base on that. I have a hard time believing that we had, a secondaries coach and a defensive coordinator who's been super aggressive, run a lot of cover 0, cover 1, and cover 3, and then all of a sudden we're switching to more of a match quarter system and running some Tampa 2 in there. That's just not something we saw in 23, and that was kind of some of the questions. When John Butler got hired as the secondaries coach, I remember going on, my YouTube channel and a couple other podcasts and all that and saying, like, I'm curious to see how that looks. Like, are we going to be, like, I assumed we'd still be running Tony White stuff, and I was wondering how John Butler was going to transition into that. I was completely wrong in the fact that we ended up running a lot of John Butler's coverage schemes. So I don't know. And I think that's a very good question. And I really wish I could get an answer on that, but I just have a hard time believing right now, unless I heard differently, that it was a decision made prior to John Butler being hired.
Ben, great stuff as always.
Thanks, Ben.
This is our last chat before the calendar flips to 2025. You've been a great addition to the show. I appreciate the insight and also everybody getting to learn more about you and consume your content, which you'll be busy leading up to the 28th.
Yes, 100%. And Gary, I really appreciate you having me on every week. I really appreciate the friendship that, we've kind of started and we had with Nick and Matt. I'm very happy to be able to talk to you as well last week and this week. You seem like a very good addition to the show, so I really do appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it, man.
Hey, thanks, Ben. Happy holidays.